Thank you all for joining us for our weekly Friday night program. A reminder that you can see where all our programs are through our Instagram or Facebook at MYC Media. So tonight we're honored to welcome our dear brother Hajj Hussein Charara for the topic of law of attraction as well as a meditation session. So if you guys please help me in welcoming him with a loud salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad.
If you could just play this.
Fatiha. Thank you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. All praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds. May His peace and blessings be on our beloved Prophet and His immaculate Ahl Bayt. Salawat. I'll tell you a little bit about myself before we begin. I'd like for this to be interactive. So if you have a question, even in the middle of the speech, just interject, raise your hand. I may say some things that may trigger your mind. And so that question may come, and if you don't ask it right away, it may disappear. And if it came to you, then it may have come to somebody else. So my name is Brother Hussein. My background is in cognitive behavioral science. I'm basically a counselor by trade. I've been doing it since 2007. You know, we have a school, Sayyid Kazwini is a big supporter of Wise Academy down the road. I'm the co-founder of that. And I've helped people just basically overcome themselves, especially now is addiction. So I've really been dabbling into addiction because I've traveled to people where they have to spend $30,000 a month. Families have had to mortgage their house in order to pay for these addiction centers because the best ones are the most expensive. But even then I saw relapse. So now I'm on that journey and I'm dealing with 3 or 4 people, and actually one of the meditations that we're going to do is what they do. And it gives you a natural high. And we're going to do that at the end of this session. How many of you believe that your thoughts have something to do with your future? So if you really believe that, how many of us woke up and said, this is what I'm going to think about today? Very few of us do. See, our personality is the way we think, act, and feel. And our personality determines our personal reality. If there's something about our life that we don't like, most human beings do what? They point at the outside and say, it's my ex's fault. It's my husband's fault. My kids are like this because of their friends. It's always somebody else's fault. And they're waiting for something outside of them to change in order for them to change. And we call that insanity, where you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. How many times you've had your parents keep telling you the same thing, take out the garbage, do your room, and they do it every day, and they don't change, and they're expecting you to change. And then you guys butt heads. I'm going to do an example. I need a volunteer. You two don't count. I know. Somebody who I don't know. How many hands are up right now? 0. I want you to pay very careful attention because we're going to also talk about the ego, and then eventually I'm going to get a little bit into the law of attraction and where the Quran stands of the law of attraction and the principles of the Quran, how the Prophet ﷺ followed the same rules that I'm going to give to you. So I need a volunteer. Sister, what's your name? Danya, come on up. Quickly. This is why they raised their hand. So here's some money. Okay, Danya, take a seat. Now I want everybody to evaluate what just happened. I asked for a volunteer. How many people raised their hand? Very few. What was going through your mind when I asked for a volunteer? One of my biggest realizations in life is when I realized that not all my thoughts are true. So what was going through your mind? Who is this guy? What if he asked me a question I don't know? What if I get embarrassed? This is streaming on YouTube. I don't want this. And then I gave Sister Danya, let's say I gave her $500. I didn't give her that much, but I gave her a little bit. After that, what went through your mind? I wish I would have raised my hand. What if I would have given her $10,000? What would you have said? I wish I would have raised my hand. But what stopped you from raising your hand? So let's talk about that briefly. Now imagine the person next to you would have told you, don't raise your hand. Brother Hussein is going to fool you. Don't raise your hand. And then you didn't raise your hand and I gave Sister Danya 10 grand. What would you have told the person next to you? Why did I listen to you? And then I asked for another volunteer. And again, the person next to you says, don't raise your hand. Would you listen to him? What would you tell the person next to you? No, you were wrong the first time. Why would I listen to you again? So then here is the basic question. Then why is it we keep listening to our thoughts when they're wrong over and over and over again? We are not who our thoughts are. We're much higher than that. And I'm going to talk about the difference between your conscience and your mind. Because all your mind is your brain in action. But there's something above you that's called consciousness. So a quick thing that I want everybody to do is just close your eyes. Everybody close their eyes. And I want you to think of the last wedding you were at. Think of the last vacation you were at. It's probably been some time because of COVID. Was it warm? How was the food? Think of the last time you felt proud, where somebody gave you a compliment. Who was it? Now think of a funeral of somebody that you went to that you loved dearly. If you could envision them, and just tell them that you love them, that you miss them. Okay, now come back to the room, open your eyes. Where did your mind go? Where did it first start? Went to a wedding, it went to a vacation, it went to a funeral. When I said some of you for a polite, think of somebody that somebody said something polite to you, some of you smiled. Then when I took some of you to the funeral, some of you became sad. So your conscience went to different parts of your mind. Because your brain is an artifact, it's a record of all your past events. And the reason why you're able to remember those events is because you tied an emotion to it. Like if I ask some of you, where were you when you first rode your bike? Who could tell me? Who knows? Where were you? You were in Switzerland. How long ago was it? 12 years ago. But if I tell you, give me the details, would you be able to? Yes. But if I tell you what happened 2 weeks before, you can't. So what makes the end product of an experience is an emotion. The higher elevated the emotion, that becomes a long-term memory. That was a high elevated emotion. That's why you're able to remember. So now you say, okay, well, why is that significant? Because what happens is instead of just riding your bike, some of us have been abused, some of us have been betrayed, some of us have been hurt. And as soon as we wake up, we check our phone, we become familiar with ourselves, and you go back to that memory. See, if I ask him, think about it, meditate over it, go back. Your body doesn't know the difference between a thought that you have in your mind and something that happens in reality. To your body, you riding your bike, you can do it again for the first time, your body will be convinced of it. So some of us wake up to that abuse every single day. What happens? Well, my ex-husband, he betrayed me. Or my father passed away. Well, how long ago? 3 years ago. I can't let it go. I said, really? So now imagine if you switch places with your father and you passed away and your father's grieving. What would you tell your father? Move on. Sometimes a woman will come to me, he betrayed me, he cheated on me. I said, okay, we're going to put him on a rocket ship, send him to the moon. Now what? You know what she will do? She'll look for somebody else and say, okay, that's a betrayer. Because she's looking in the future through the lens of the past. And she's carrying that emotion, that energy. And until you release that energy, you're going to take that experience and apply it to everything in your life. That's why consciously, because there's this conscious and your subconscious. Consciously, you could sit at a lecture and say, okay, that's a profound moment. Yes, I like what he just said. I'll follow that. Just like I have some MBA friends. I say, what did you do? I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning every day and I shot hoops. Somebody will come to me, I want to make the MBA. So okay, they woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Are you ready? The mind, the conscience says, yes, I'm going to do it. But then 5 o'clock in the morning, The mind says NBA. What does the body say? Go back to bed. You're never going to do it. It's too hard. And so that's the secret. The secret is where you can think greater than your environment, greater than any circumstance of your past. And because Imam Ali alayhi salam says the biggest form of revenge is forgiveness. That no matter what somebody did to hurt you, forgive them. Because now you're releasing that energy. And now you have energy now to do something else. Some of us have been betrayed so deeply. I know sisters that you have to give them Tylenol because they were in a relationship, that person ghosted them, that person rejected them, and they're in so much pain that they have to take Tylenol. Because if they do brain scans, that rejection is the same as like being hit. That's why when you take Tylenol, it helps you. So now what do we do about that? So one of the things that I'm fascinated about is success. And nobody was more successful than the Prophet. But since we're in this community, I'm going to give you some personal stories of people that I've helped and some other people in the community of what they've done. One person, there's a brother named Dave Abdullah. He's #1 in Michigan. He was #1 in USA in real estate. So I asked him a question, what did you do? How'd you become successful? He said, well, I maxed out all my credit cards. My wife was going to leave me. I was in a really tough situation. But he said, I woke up because the biggest form of regret, the biggest form of sadness is when you achieve something and doesn't fulfill you. Because your parents have probably told you you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure. And then I had doctors who are making a couple $100,000 a year, and they're coming to me saying, I'm not happy. What do I do? Well, why did you do this? Well, my parents made me do it. I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. That's the biggest form of unhappiness, is when you achieve something that you worked 20 years for and it doesn't fulfill you. So Dave Abdullah says, I went into accounting, I knew I wouldn't like it. But every day I woke up, not to the debt, not to my credit card bills, I woke up to a vision. And every day in the shower, he would take 2 showers a day on purpose. And every day he would say #1 in Michigan. This is when he wasn't selling a house a month yet. Because now he's the top. My other cousin also, Ali Charara, that's my first cousin, he's also up there as well. And he follows the same principles. So every day he would say #1 in Michigan. So now when somebody would give him that negative energy, you're never going to do it. It's too hard. Stick to accounting. Because your parents want certainty for you. I don't blame them. But if certainty is at the top of your list, then your life is going to be very predictable. You have to do things that are uncertain. You have to take bold risks. That's what the Prophet ﷺ did. So he did it every day until it manifested himself. We have another brother named Ali Rida. He's Guinness Book of World Records. Correct? He sold 8 cars a day. He's in Dearborn. 8 cars a day. He's in the Guinness Book of World Records. I said, how'd you do it? He said, well, every day I woke up to abuse. Every single day I was abused. My mom was abused. Every day. But every day I would say, okay, this is how I'm not going to be. And people tried to give me an excuse on why I should be a loser, and I didn't succumb to those excuses. There was a person that I counseled about a week ago. I said, did you just get hurt in a relationship? Yeah, how'd you know? I said, were you molested? She's like, yeah, how did you know? I said, because your life, as I speak to you, you're carrying that energy. That's my gift. When I sit with somebody and I tell them about themselves before they tell me. So that's the gift that I have because I've been doing it for so long. And I say, okay, are you willing to forgive that person that molested you 20 years ago? Not justifying what they did, but releasing that energy. Because what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is, like when I tell a woman, do you forgive your ex-husband? Yes, I forgive him. Then as soon as the ex-husband comes, get him out of here, I can't handle it. Then you truly haven't forgiven him. So that's what Ali Rida did. He says, okay, I'm not going to allow anybody to take my energy. He removed some of his bad friends. He changed his environment because you show me who you are, show me who your friends are, show you who you are. And then he manifested where he became #1 in Guinness Book of World Records. There was another brother recently, and he came and he moved here and he was alone. COVID hit, he lost his job. He says, I don't know what to do. He says, what do you want to do? He says, I want to work for the state. I want to be a civil servant. I said, okay. Give that attention. Do the meditations. Do the dhikr. These are our secret weapons that we have. We're waiting for some outside world for us to feel joy. Why not feel joy and then you'll attract it? Most of us here are probably not married. We're waiting for love to happen for us to feel it. We're waiting to fall in love. That doesn't work. That's not the system of God. The system of God says, love yourself first and then you'll attract the person. You first have to feel abundant. We have some entrepreneurs, some business people in here. When they had no money, but within them was abundance, and that's how they became wealthy. They didn't get the wealth and then felt the abundance. Most people think there's some outside agency that has to happen for you to wait. That means you're going to be working really hard for 30 years to feel peaceful, to be retired. And I rejected that. So the brother came and said, where do you want to work? I said, envision it. Because most of us, we wake up, we check our WhatsApp, we brush our teeth. But if we truly believe our thoughts have something to do with our future, the secret, the law of attraction, is make sure your vibrations. Because the law of attraction is the second law. The first law is your vibrations towards something. So you don't move until you are that person that you want to be. Or you don't move. You say, these are the thoughts that I'm going to have today. These are the thoughts that I'm going to stop having today. This is the way I'm going to stop being limited. That's the secret. So this brother started doing it. And in COVID, he lost his job. He calls unemployment. Unemployment says, we're hiring. Why don't you come working for us? And in the meantime, he says, I keep seeing Cadillac. So God is showing you a sign. Pay attention to it. But it's going to come unexpected. The Prophet ﷺ, when he went to Mecca, and they told him he had to leave. And then God promised him victory. You know what his companions? How much they troubled him. Said, we walked all this way to go and do our pilgrimage, our Hajj. Now we got to walk back. And the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, but I've been promised a greater vision. Some of them didn't have that vision. What did they do? They troubled the Prophet. So this person now calls unemployment, is seeing Cadillac. He says, I don't want a Cadillac. I just want a job. What do I do? So he sees Cadillac, he calls unemployment, he says, guess what, we're hiring. He says, okay, I'll apply. He applies, he gets the job. He says, wow, I had to lose that job to get my dream job. He says, this is my dream job. This is everything that I want. It's the happiest day of my life. So now everybody's working from home. So he says, I got to go pick up my laptop. Where does he pick it up from? The Cadillac building downtown. We don't believe in coincidence in Islam. See, Allah talks to us in many ways. There's a sister who kept failing her exam. Every day, she was taking a statewide exam, she kept failing. I said, you just haven't given it attention. Because remember, your body doesn't know the difference between what you're thinking and reality. So the secret, the law of attraction, is where you're grateful for something before it happens. Because Allah says, when you're grateful, I'm giving you more. Somebody says, well, how am I grateful before I achieve it? I said, that's the secret. Well, why is that? Because when your body is convinced that you've achieved it, your vibrations change, and then you start attracting things. So how did it work? So the sister came to me. I said, what do you have to get? She goes, I got to get a 70%. I said, I'm going to give you a number. She's taking the exam the next day. Because I also run a Quran club, I run a book club, and a meditation club. And she's in the book club and the meditation club, and she goes, okay, what number? I said, think of 78. And then do your meditation at night, and tell your body you're going to get a 78. Tell your body how it's going to feel when you get it. She said, okay. The next day, she takes it. I get a text. It's always a text that I get. That's why I want to write a book just on these stories. Brother Hussein, you won't believe what happened. I got a 78. See, I don't believe in cause and effect. That means you're waiting for something outside for you to happen. I believe in causing the effect, where you tell your mind, you tell your body of how your future is going to be. You guys ever hear of Jim Carrey? Jim Carrey wrote a $10 million check. He had no money. He was broke in 1989. He dated it 5 years in the future. If you're unemployed, you're looking for a job, you increase your rate of finding a job by just writing down the type of job that you want. They've done studies, you have an increase of 30% likelihood of getting that job, just by writing it down. So he wrote down $10 million check. He had no money. 5 years in the future. If his friends would have come and said, this is a $10 million check, what would his friends would have said? It's being unrealistic. You know, I didn't know, I agreed to a parent workshop in New Zealand, and it was at 8 p.m., so I'm thinking it would be like 1 p.m. It was actually 4 a.m. our time, so I spoke for about 2 hours at 4 a.m., so I've been up since. A parent came to me and says, what you're saying, it sounds great, but what about reality? What about being realistic? I said, no. The Prophet ﷺ, when he got rid of the idols, they would have said he's being unrealistic. Malcolm X, they would have said he's being unrealistic. Sayyid Qazwini, getting his own mosque. You know how many people said you're being unrealistic? I said, my trust is with my Lord. I don't need anybody. He already envisioned it and it manifested. If you drive by Wise, you see, wow, this is a huge project. How'd you guys do it? It's the same principle. See, it's different if I don't apply it. We've applied it. Just take a ride down Beach Daily and you'll see, you know, we have our own camp. We have the only Muslim camp in the country. Well, how did we do that? We created it here first. We tied an emotion and it manifested. Where was it before we went there? Somebody. $10 million check. So finally he's working. Now you also have to work hard. You can't just think of something and not work towards it. So now he's putting his energy towards it. And he gets his big break. He gets a movie called Ace Ventura. Then he gets another movie, it's called The Mask. And then he gets a third movie, it's called, of all titles, Dumb and Dumber. Dumb and Dumber sends him a check. Guess how much it was? $10 million. Guess what month they send it? The same time he sent it the same way Dave Abdullah did it, the same way Ali Rida did it, the same way the Prophet ﷺ did it. That's why it's so important to say, this is who I'm going to be today. These are the people. Everybody here has probably at least one toxic friend they have to stop hanging out with. I guarantee it. It could be, you know, I've had sisters who have run away from home. They've actually run away to here where they would hide out, sleep here the night. Somebody would say, okay, go to Wise, there's a brother there. I say, this is a beautiful sister. Straight A student. Then the father came in. I look at him and say, I'd run away from you too. Because he came in, he says, my daughter is shaitan. She's the devil. I said, she's not made out of smokeless fire. She's a human being. And the father was very abusive. I said, man, I'd run away from that too. Sometimes people say, what if my parents are very negative? I said, then you have to wait it out. You have to show compassion. You know, we always use this word enlightenment. We want to be enlightened. We want to control the ego. How do you know you have an ego problem? Imagine you open up the door for somebody. The person walks by, doesn't tell you thank you. What does your mind tell you? Who does this person think he is? He doesn't even say thank you. That's your ego. You can't be aware and have ego at the same time. Most of us have an ego problem. We don't even know it's our ego. Somebody cuts us off. It's our ego. Didn't the Prophet say give 40 excuses? There's a book called 7 Habits of Highly Effective Kids. And there was a bunch of kids running around on the bus, and they were running around, and I went to the father. I said, what are you doing? Why are you allowing your kids to run around? Because it's the ego. The ego says, for you to promote yourself, you have to demote others. That's the corporate America sign. That's why we're living in this competitive world, and a lot of people are not happy. So then he went to the father, and the father said, you know, I just came back from the hospital. I'm sorry. Their mom just died. And his heart dropped. So why couldn't I give him excuses before I spoke to him? This is the way our ego works. I'll give you a story. There's a person at the airport. He's waiting for his flight. He's got a box of cookies. He's got 5 of them. A person comes on the other side, grabs his cookies, eats one. What does the ego say? Hey, these are mine. Correct? So then he eats one. How many cookies are left? 3. So he says, there's no way he's going to eat another cookie. So he takes another cookie. So he eats one, the guy. How many cookies are left? 1. The stranger takes the cookie, breaks it in half, gives it to him, smiles, and walks away. So the whole time, what's going through that person's mind? How is this person eating a complete stranger? Who does he think he is? Ego, ego, ego. So now 15 minutes later, the person gets up, takes out his laptop, and under his laptop, what does he see? His actual cookies. The whole time he was actually eating the stranger's cookies. And the stranger didn't have an ego. He allowed him. He even split it with him. So which one are you? How do you overcome yourself? Is you say, okay, where did I fall from grace today? Where did my ego get the best of me? If the ego gets the best of me sometimes, do I become emotional? Yes, but for how long? But if you don't ask the question of saying, okay, what took me here and how can I stop? Then you're going to be the same person 40 years from now. I know people that have been rejected 30 years ago. And when you meet with them, it's like they've just got rejected. They can't let it go. And if you can't go, then you're carrying that energy. Let me discuss that real fast. Your thoughts have something to do with your future. And you have an energy. There's energy centers within you. The prophets, the imams would actually teach people how to breathe to get your heart in link with your mind. So there was a group of people, they measured the energy in a room. Follow me. And they measured the energy, and it was at a certain level. And then they did a meditation. The energy in the room shot way up. But here's the interesting thing. Because we know, scientifically it's been proven, when you pray for somebody, even if they don't know you're praying for them, they heal faster. Even if you don't know. And it's beyond skepticism now. The scientists back that up. So now they say, okay, they did a meditation, the energy went up. But here's the interesting thing. They were doing a walking meditation. Nobody was even in the room and the levels went up. So why is that significant? Parents come to me, sometimes they want me help with their kids. I said, do you fight at home? We do, but we don't fight in front of the kids. I said, doesn't matter, they feel the energy. Why is it the prophet says, be careful who you speak about, because eventually they'll speak bad about you. Be careful of the thoughts that you have bad about people, because eventually the same thing will happen to you, because there's an energy. We're not linear beings living in a linear world. We're dimensional beings living in a dimensional world. And we have connections. Some of us have negative connections, and until you learn to let it go, you won't be able to see different realities. Why? Because a lot of us are in survival mode. What does that mean? Survival mode means, imagine you're a bunny and you're running away from the lion. Well, the bunny just wants to survive. That's all it wants to do. It's the fight or flight mode. It just wants to survive. And it's going to think of whatever the worst possible outcome and say, okay, this is what I got to do to survive because the lion could eat me. So what the difference between us, which is good, we have that as well. Something chases us, somebody's trying to shoot us, whatever. We're going to think of the worst possible survive. Here's the thing. When the lion goes away, the bunny heartbeat goes way down. For us, the lion could be our ex-husband, somebody that's hurt us, somebody that's betrayed us, and we can't escape. So we wake up to that person every day. That's why when I ask people, there was a sister, I think, Ahmed, you were there. We were at an engagement, and the sister, because I'm all about energy, was serving us, we were at an engagement, was serving us kind of weird. And I was paying at you. And she's been severely betrayed by somebody, probably her husband. And Ahmed is like, there's no way you would know that. I said, look at it, it's all over her face. So Ahmed says, ask her a question. Hey, Brother Hussein has a question for you. So I said, have you been betrayed? And are you suffering from a health condition? And Ahmed, she goes, who are you? Who told you? And I said, well, you know, if you forgive that person, your health will increase. Every time I meet a mother who's lost a kid to sin, do you have health issues? Yes. Because those negative thoughts that we cannot escape from, that's what deregulates genes, that's what causes cancer and disease. So can your thoughts make you sick? 95% of cancer and disease is not because we're born with it, it's because of something in the environment that we've allowed affecting us that we can't let go. If our thoughts can make us sick, can our thoughts make us well? Absolutely. How? Most of us wait for some type of trauma in order to change. So my notion is, why wait? What's wrong with right now? Why not change now? Why wait for something to happen that's uncomfortable to change? Why not do it now? Brother, you had a question? Yeah. So if you just pay attention to your hand and you focus on it for like a minute, it's going to start tingling. So there's energy, actually, just like a battery, there's energy within you. It's been measured. There's a lot of energy to keep your, like right now, what's making your blood flow, what's making everything go. There's energy, and it can be measured. And we know when you're in survivor mode, when you're in grieving, when you're in angry, when they do measurement checks, your energy is very low. But when you're grateful, when you're joyful, when you're optimistic, the energy expands, and now you're able to attract more. And people will tell you, there's something different about you. I can't tell what it is. So here, I'll give you some scientific examples. They've done two groups of people. One group, they said, work out on biceps. Because let's remove skepticism, okay? They did biceps, they had a 14% growth. Another group of people never touched biceps. They just said, focus on strength and mentally rehearse as if you're doing bicep curls. Same amount of time, 12% growth. How does that happen? Here's a simple notion. I give you, sister, a Motrin, you have a headache. Your headache goes away. I give you, brother, the same type of headache, but I tell you it's a Motrin, it's a sugar pill. It's called a placebo. Her headache goes away. What happens to his headache? It goes away. 85% of antidepressants are just as good as placebos. They're the same. But how did that sugar pill create the same thing in his nervous system as hers, where it created those chemicals to release the headache? So what did that placebo represent? Hope. So the question is, did he have to be tricked in order for his headache to go away, or can you be the placebo? See, I'm telling you, most of us have been tricked. The Matrix, we're living like in the Matrix. Matrix isn't a science fiction movie. It's a documentary. Everybody here, most of us are waiting for our marriage to happen, for our career, for something to happen. The science says, no, why wait? Create within. You know, there's a guru, two gurus that were walking, and then some old man needed help across the bridge. So the guru picked them up and helped them across the bridge. The person got up, looked at him, walked away. The other guru said, he didn't even tell you thank you. So they had about another hour walk. So every 10 minutes, how did that person not thank you? What's wrong with him? What kind of person is that? See how much you helped him? Usually we help with the string attached. We're waiting for somebody to tell us thank you. The guru said a profound statement. He said, I carried that person and I dropped them off. I dropped them off an hour ago. You're still carrying them. There's things that all of you here are carrying that you got to just learn to let go. I get it. Some of you have been abused. Some of you have been dropped out of school. Something has happened. But my position to you is somebody has been in a much worse circumstance than you and was able to achieve great success. There's a brother at 7 years old. 7. Every day he said, my parents are poor, I'm going to work for them. So he would drive 2 hours. He had a vision of becoming very wealthy. So he rode his bike for 2 hours, came back and sold matchsticks door to door. His friends are like, what are you doing? Come play with us. Nowadays, we don't even allow our kids to walk around the block. You know, it's never been safer in society for your kids to, but now we're living in fear. Fear is what kills your immune system. Eventually, that person worked so hard, had a vision. He owns a company. It's called IKEA. It's worth $150 billion. We want that, but are we willing to live in those same methods? See, my life changed because I would always see people who would recite dua, send prayers, but nothing would happen. And one day a brother came to me, he said, I was dying of cancer, of meningitis. I had 2 weeks to live. I prayed to Abu Fadl Abbas. Something came over me. Even non-Muslims talk about how these 12-foot angels, scientists, doctors, they come and they healed me. These are normal people doing the supernatural. They overcame themselves. I've seen people, I've gone to meditations, people with paralysis, people with MS, people with lupus, and within 4 days, they overcame it. They did a group of old people, 70 and 80 years old, on canes. They measured their fingers, measured their height. And within 1 week, they had a reminiscence of when they was in the 60s. Within 1 week, they changed their environment. They got rid of their canes, their finger length grew, their height grew within 1 week. And by the end, they were playing flag football. Because you're told by the time you're 70 and 80, you should behave a way, this certain way. I don't believe in chronological age, just because somebody told me that. But the interesting thing is, as soon as they went back into their environment, what happened? Their back started hurting, the cane came back, correct? So, this person came to me, he was going to die. His student comes to our school. This happened, this is where my life changed. Because I've had mystical moments. My first mystical moment, I was praying behind Sayyid Kazwini at the Ford Road Mosque. Something came and I said, whoa, what was that? And I've had, we all have these mystical moments. Sometimes my light has been, the car where I've been driving, and it's a green light. It happened here on Ford and Mercury. And I was driving with my friends. This was a long time ago. It's green. I stopped. My friends are like, why'd you stop the car? I stopped at the green light. I just had somebody, did you guys whisper in my ear to stop? Like, no, go. And as soon as they said that, a car came down Mercury through the red light. And if I would have kept going, we would have been smashed. Something whispered in my ear, stop. So this person came and he said, I prayed to Abu Fadl Abbas. Something happened. I woke up cured. The doctors kept me in the hospital for 3 weeks. Oakwood Hospital. Poked and prodded. He says, you don't know my Lord. The nurse came, because nurses are very practical people. If you ever want to know a good doctor, go to a nurse. And said, same thing happened to somebody 3 weeks ago. So I said, this is spontaneous remission. We know this happens in the medical field. So I started researching, how does that work? How is it when the imams and the prophets came, they would give them a dua for wealth, for health. They would recite it and they would get it right away. I said, I'm very interested in that. Because when we recite dua kamal, or when we pray our 5 daily prayers, nothing happens. Why is it? Because we're not present. Most of us, when we pray, where is our mind? Overseas, on COVID, what are we going to eat tomorrow? That means you're going to have no change, because the body is taking over the mind. So I said, okay, I want to research. I said, Allah, show me how this works. And the first YouTube video I went on was a person named Joe Dispenza. He's a doctor who, this is what he does, who healed himself. And now he's showing the world how to do it. I said, wow, that's very interesting. Then I met some scholars who also are on this path. So all I'm telling you is to take your free will back. The simple notion is, imagine, I always use this story. You see an obese person. He wakes up at 5 o'clock in the morning. He opens up the fridge. He sees cupcakes. The body, most of us, the body is greater than the mind. The body controls the mind. So what is the body telling them? Eat it. You just ate 42 cupcakes 2 hours ago. You're 300 pounds. As soon as he takes the free will back and says, no body, not right now. Sit. You're not moving. And then puts the cupcake back, what will happen? He'll get a job. He'll get married. His life will change. But most of us are expecting us to lose weight by keep eating the cupcakes. Most of us are expecting our life change being the same personality. Doesn't work. You change your personality, your personal reality changes. That makes sense? So you're in complete control of your destiny. Stop waiting for some outside agency to happen for you to change. You become that change. The same way the Prophet did it, the same way Dave Abdullah did it, the same way that sister did it with the number 78, the same way that brother did it with the Cadillac, the same way Ali Rita did it. Do it. Now you have to assess yourself. How do I speak? Do I speak limited? If you ever want to know and assess yourself, go to your loved one. Go to your mom, your wife, and ask them, what's one thing I should change about myself? And as soon as they say it, the ego's going to kick in. Who do they think they are? I'm okay. But if you could overcome that and become the awareness, and you watch yourself, now you'll be saying, okay, what were the limited thoughts that I had today? Today I didn't get annoyed when that person cut me off. That's a small win. When my mom told me for the 80th time to clean my room, I didn't get annoyed. I did it. When my friend, I overcame that. And if you keep overcoming, you become somebody else. See, the subconscious, if you show me the kid in the first 7 years, I'll show him the rest of your life. They've done it at 5 years old. If a kid had the willpower to resist cupcakes, then he'll have the willpower to resist other things. Because you're up until the age of 7, you're in a state of theta, where you're very impressionable. Okay, you'll take things in. That's why if you look at kids who have low IQ, but they're very wealthy. I've met some foolish millionaires before. I'm like, how did you become a millionaire? Well, because of their upbringing. Their parents were wealthy. They were telling them wealthy things. And I've met some very smart people who need to borrow money. And I'm like, what happened? Well, if you go look at their parents, what were they probably telling them? You're no good. You're too slow. You're just like your mother. Correct? And so that feeds into their subconscious, and now they start thinking that they are that loser. And unless you could overcome that, how do you do it? It's not through this lecture. This lecture is for your mind. It's not for your body. The only way to do it is to start new habits. It's either that or hypnosis, or you hit rock bottom. Well, what new habit can you start today? If you want things to happen on time, pray on time. Try it for 40 days. Watch what happens. Most of us pray because somebody told us, avoid hell. Why would I want to pray just to avoid hell? There's no bigger meaning to prayer. Just pray on time. Ask your loved one, what's one thing? Do it. And see what changes in your life you make. And that's the reality. There's so much more to talk about, the practicality. Maybe we could eventually have another discussion just on that. But today, I want to show you some of your limiting beliefs. I'm hoping that right now you just say, okay, I'm going to give this an honest try. We're going to do a meditation. And the first thing, I'm just going to guide you through it. I'm going to play it on here. I'm just going to guide it. What happened is there's a person named Wim Hof. He holds 26 Guinness Book World Records. If you look up Wim Hof, you'll see him. It's called Iceman. He walked up Mount Everest with shorts on. He was in the Sahara Desert, 140 degrees, ran a marathon, no water. He'd be in ice water, he'd be able to elevate his temperature. He'd be induced with an endotoxin. He neutralized it through thought and released it, where it had no effect on the body. And then he said, okay, you're a genetic freak. He taught 26 other people how to do it. What happened is his wife committed suicide because they pumped her up with so many antidepressants. Because if you have low dopamine and a doctor gives you increased brain to see what you need. That's why any doctor that's just guessing, you have to be careful. I'm not against medication, but I'm against giving you something that you have no idea of the effect. So he decided to say, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So he developed a meditation. And he's helped millions of people through depression, anxiety, and other things. It's a simple concept. So all I want you to do, and just say, right now you're going to have those negative thoughts. Just like that, some of you, one sister raised her hand and got the $40. She didn't allow her negative thoughts to overcome her. I am asking you to do the same. Just try it once and see what happens. What we're going to do is we're going to take a breath. You take a deep breath. You fill up your gut. You release, regular release. We're going to do it 30 times. You ready? Then I'm going to tell you what to do right after. Because at the 30th breath, you're going to release, and then you're going to hold your breath. Okay? We're going to see how long you could hold your breath. Then after that, I'm going to have you do something else. You ready? Is everybody in for it? Okay. This is what I give to addicts, drug addicts. There's one addict who's been addicted to heroin for 5 years. He's been doing this, he's been clean for 2 months, for 3 months, and the family is shocked. Another brother was addicted for 20 years. he started doing this, he realized, okay, I could overcome. Because you need some type of outside, some type of help to overcome that desire of when you want the drug. So I'm going to time it. Let's start. Take the breath. Deep breath through your nose or your mouth. Fill up your gut, release. Again. Keep doing it. You're going to feel lightheaded, it's okay. Everybody do it. 4, 5, I'm starting to feel lightheaded. It's okay. You're removing these toxins out of your body. 6, 7. Just think as you're doing it, think of something that you want to become. Something that you're grateful for. Keep going. If you want to close your eyes, sometimes it tends to help. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, fill it up, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 5 more, 26, 27, 28, 29. Okay, you're going to take a deep breath. You're going to release the breath and now hold. It's okay. Just hold your breath. Hold it for as long. Close your eyes. Just let your mind wander. Think of something to be grateful for, or just don't think of anything. Just be. Just hold it for as long as you can. Something that you want to do, something you're grateful for. We're almost there. It's okay. Some of you are still holding it. It's great. Keep going. Keep going. We're almost there. Keep going. We're almost there. Hold it. Sister, hold it. You're almost there. No pressure. Shouldn't hold any stress in the body. 3, 2, 1. Take another deep breath. Fill up your gut, your chest. Put your hand on your heart. Put your focus on your throat, the top of your head. Release. How do you feel? Feels pretty good, huh? How long, sister, do you think you held your breath for? A minute? How long do you think you held your breath for? Who was able to hold it until I said stop? How long did you think you held it for? A minute? You held it for 1 minute and 30 seconds. If somebody were to ask you, do you think you could hold your breath for 1 minute and 30? Usually we go 2 minutes. I have elementary students in our school that could hold their breath for 2 minutes. I could hold my breath for 3. But if somebody would have asked you, sister, can you hold your breath for 1.5 minutes before coming here, you would have said what? No. How? 20 seconds. I had a sister who had asthma, and she was crying. She says, I held it for 2 minutes. I have asthma. This is unbelievable. My question to you is, you believe in something that wasn't true, that you were able to do. How many other things do you believe in that you think you can't do that are not true? So many. So my notion to everybody here is just wake up. Don't touch this. Say, just try it. Right before you do your Fajr prayer, close your eyes and say, this is the person I want to be, Allah. This is who I'm grateful for. Then do your prayer. That one prayer has more effect, the Prophet said, than 70 years of doing prayer without reflection. Most of us pray, because my problem is, I remember when I was young, I would go to the mosque on Ford Road. When Sayyid would be leading prayer, he'd be talking about peace. And as soon as we would leave the mosque, people are cutting off each other, people are annoyed. I said, what happened with the peace? So the goal is where you have an emotion, you say, I'm going to feel joy today. Where you feel the meditation, you don't move until you feel it within, and then you keep that emotion throughout your day. That's the law of attraction. That's when weird things will happen in your life. Give it a try. What do you have to lose? Instead of waiting 30 years for something to happen, why not create it now? It's hard to argue because we've achieved some level of success. Because this is the sunnah of the Prophet. Give it a try. Questions? Any questions that you have at all? Yes, brother. Yeah, the body takes over a lot of times. But the question is, for how long? Because if you have an emotion, what's wrong? I'm in a mood. What happened? I got an E in exam, my teacher dropped me out of school. It becomes your mood. You wake up to the mood every day. But if it goes long enough, it becomes a temperament. Well, what's wrong? 6 months. And then if it goes longer than that, it becomes your personality. How many of us have an angry aunt? That no matter if it's raining, it's raining. If it's sunny, it's sunny. Because they're addicted to those emotions. So that's where the meditations, the dhikr, Imam Zain Abidin has some amazing du'as that you can do. Something to say, okay, body, sit. Not right now. And you got to be so zoned in on a future that you want. How do you overcome this? Have something greater than yourself. So instead of using your brain as a record of the past, to use it as a roadmap of the future, and say, that person, instead of comparing myself with anybody, you compare yourself with the future self. And say, am I doing those things? Am I a reader? If you work 40 hours a day, you need another 7 hours in self-development. Readers are leaders. If you want to learn how to learn, school doesn't teach you how to pay attention. Teachers tell you focus. You can't focus. Well, have you ever been taught how to pay attention? So read. Read a book like Jim Quick's Limitless. It'll teach you how to read. It'll teach you how to learn. If you want to learn more about the self, 40 Hadith by Imam Khomeini. Whatever it is, there's a book called You Are the Placebo. It'll give you the science of everything that I just talked about, because it's beyond skepticism. Brother, if you could just grow your biceps through thought alone, how many other things can you do through thought? But we have this elephant rope tied us. You guys ever see this huge elephant at a circus, and it's got this little rope? This elephant could destroy the building if it wanted to. How does this have this little rope? Because from a childhood it was told that this little rope could hold you. It doesn't know, it could just move it a little bit and it'll go free. A lot of us have elephant ropes around us. Not all your thoughts are true. The biggest treasures in the world are not in Saudi-occupied Arabia in the oil fields. They're not in the diamond mines of Africa. Do you know where they're at? They're in graveyards. Because when we're risen, the angel says, you could have wrote this book. But this person betrayed me. So, we didn't give you enough abundance to go after it? You should have been an author. You should have started this orphanage. There was a person who was a bus driver. You know, Haji Najat, CNN Hero of the Year, she became a top candidate. This person actually won it. He was a bus driver. One day he fed people. Because when you learn, you feel good. When you give, you feel 10 times as good. Isn't it true? So he was a bus driver, and he fed a poor person. He said, wow, that felt good. I'm going to feed more poor people. His friends, what do you think his friends told him? You're poor yourself. What are you doing? He says, I don't tell you to stop gambling and drinking. Leave me alone. Don't tell me what to do with my money. Recognized him and started helping. He started feeding over 2,000 people a week. CNN recognized him, became CNN Hero of the Year. Barack Obama invited him, Medal of Honor. He went back to his country in Colombia, became a congressman. Bus driver, congressman. Do you have it that bad? No. What's your excuse? The only thing that's going to hold you back is yourself. And until you take your free will back and control your body, you're going to be the environment, the conditions of your environment, and what somebody told you should be. Go hang out with your friends. Check your phone. See the type of conversations that you have. Where you'll spend hours on Snapchat, on WhatsApp, and you say, was this useful for the last 2 hours? No. How do I get kids that go from, how did I have 6 iPhones in my office? I've never taken an iPhone from a student, high school students. I said, do you like your reality? No, I'm flunking out. What do I do? Give me your iPhone. So she would take it. We have one of the students here. I took his iPhone. So I take the iPhone, day 1, I'm miserable. It's like taking their arm. Day 2, oh, this is horrible. Day 3, I actually did my homework. Day 4, I actually sat and ate with my family. I actually walked around the block. 2 weeks go by, increase in grades. Do you want your iPhone? No, give it to me at the end of the year. So you have to be willing to make sacrifices. The hardest part about change is not making the same choices as yesterday. Change isn't difficult, it's the resistance. There was a sister who wanted to fly a plane. She was a senior in our school. I said, pray for it. Here's this dua, recite it. My mom would never allow me. I said, email the instructor, tell him your story, see what he says. Because somebody already did what you did, that what you want to do, wrote it in a book. Save 30 years, go read a book about it. So she did, she emailed the instructor. The instructor said, oh, I know what to do. Come next week. Bring your mom. We're going to go flying. Next week, she's flying the plane. She has the video, and her mom's in the back reciting dua. But she envisioned it, and now she's becoming a pilot. So what are the thoughts that you're having? Start thinking about what you're thinking about. The practicality, there's so much more I can talk about and how to do it to make it easy. This is the way I live. You know, I had somebody, my wife is a power lifter. She loves to lift heavy things. She can bench, power clean 200 pounds, squat 400 pounds. So she went to this thing in Miami to lift weights. And her friend said you could come for free. I'll end with this story. Because I do it with everything in my life. I don't believe waiting for some outside agency to feel joy. I'm already joy. God's already given me abundance and happiness. It's already within me. I don't need anybody outside to give it to me. So her friend said, give me $270. But you said it was for free. She said, yeah, but I need spending money, even though I'm giving this hotel for free. I said, okay. So my wife comes to me and says, this is so unexpected. She felt sad. I was going to give her the money. And I said, you know what? Hold on. Why don't you just do the meditation? Ask God to give you the $270. What's the emotion you're going to feel? Joy. Make sure it comes unexpectedly, just like this came unexpectedly. So she did it for a couple days. Her mom, who's a non-Muslim, bought her an instant ticket, a lottery ticket. So she gave it to my wife, and my wife goes, Ma, I can't scratch this. It's haram. Instant ticket. The mom says, oh, I didn't know that. It was a $30 ticket. And she scratched it, and it was a loser. So they threw it away. The next day I go home. My son takes it out of the garbage, puts it on the bathroom floor. I see this instant ticket in my house. Yo, whatever you win after $30, I'm going to give you as a gift. Less $30, so you're not gambling. She says, okay. So they scratch it and said it's a loser. So I take it, I look at the instant. I actually showed it to some of our book club members here. I've shown them the ticket. I look at it, none of the numbers match. But under one of the numbers says $30, right above it said 10x. And this direction said if you get 10x above the number, you win 10 times the prize. It was a $300 winner, less $30 to give, that's a $270. We don't believe in coincidence in Islam. See, your mind is filled with skepticism. You have to remove it. How did an imam would give a person a dua, be healed? We all know the stories. Brother Yunus, you could say so many stories of when the imams come, they gave them a dua and they were healed. But was that just for them 1400 years ago, or is it for now as well? It's for now. Let's become supernatural. Let's overcome ourselves. Let's start thinking about what we're thinking about. That's the secret, that Western term. That's the law of attraction. The biggest key is whatever you want to do, is be grateful to Allah for giving it to you in your mind before it manifests. Mother Teresa had this gift. Martin Luther King had this gift. The Prophet. They're already grateful for something before it came. And that's the key. Because Allah says, when you're grateful, I'll give you more. That's why you wake up in a state of gratitude. I'm grateful for my mom. I'm grateful that I'm able to see. Be grateful for a few things. Read. Give it a try. Because as that brother who saw the Cadillac, who got that job, his life changed. He now knows the system. Because when I deal with people and they do it one time, they become somebody new. Yes, brother.
Can you explain it?
The what?
I said there's more to the story.
Yes, so the brother is actually here that happened to him. This is brother Usam. So, and I think there's more in the sense of now he's gotten more opportunities in his job. He just started working there for like a month.
Oh no, yeah, I moved here from California.
He moved here from California with nobody. And he was looking for a community. And he said, Allah, I'm moving here. I don't like the community I'm at. I feel like I'm moving away from my deen. I need a community. He came here and he found you guys. He says, this is my community. These are my friends now. But he took a risk. If you go and ask every successful business person, there was a risk taken. Some of you have to take a risk of getting rid of a negative relationship. Some of you have to take a risk of forgiving that person in your past. Let's do it together. Let's welcome him with a large salawat.
صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. Going off of what Hajj was speaking about, this is a dua that it's reported that there was someone in prison that wanted to get out of prison, and so during the ghaiba, he was imprisoned oppressively, and so during the ghaiba, the report says that the Imam taught him this dua, and he seen it in a dream, and he recited it, and he was freed. Let's recite it together. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. إلهي عظم البلاء وبرح الخفاء وانكشف الغطاء وانقطع الرجاء وضاقت الأرض ومنعت السماء وأنت المستعان وإليك المشتكى وعليك المعول في الشدة والرخاء. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد أولي الأمر الذين فرضت علينا طاعتهم وعرفتنا بذلك منزلتهم ففرج عنا بحقهم فرجا عاجلا قريبا كلمح البصر أو هو أقرب. Together. يا محمد يا علي يا محمد يا علي يا علي يا محمد اكفياني فإنكما كافيان وانصراني فإنكما ناصران. يا مولانا يا صاحب الزمان الغوث 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 أدركني 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 الساعة 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 العجل 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 يا أرحم الراحمين بحق محمد وآله الطاهرين. اللهم صل على محمد.